Good morning. I put on a suit to look serious. I come from Germany, take me serious. But don't overdo it. In Germany, there are some things that we don't do as well as you think. For example, we are known to be honest, hardworking, on time, reliable. We are world champions in football. But we're also world champions in cheating on software in your cars, so you don't know what comes on the back. So if you want to cheat your clients, give us a call, we'll help you. And we have a long tradition in this. Until 1999, it was legal to bribe abroad and tax deductible. So don't think to hide little Germans. The reason you should listen to me, though, is what I learned this morning going to the park. I went out very early, and I met a guy sitting there. And I said to him, as a good German, early bird gets the worm. And this wise man looks at me and says, yes, we spoke French, so we understood each other. But the second mouse gets the cheese. So these two cases, please listen, with regard to the green industrial revolution, which is happening for sure around us and is impacting us and is giving us a chance to survive as a species or not. Why bother? We're here in Marrakesh thanks to a visionary king. The world will converge here for the Marrakesh COP22. The world has a chance to get together and stop climate change. The numbers of boring CO2 emissions in Germany are high, in Africa they're low. What we're saying is, you guys here, please don't emit as much as we are, otherwise we kill ourselves. All doesn't work. The green industrial revolution will allow us all to have free energy, cheap energy, get there profitably and live together peacefully without having to go to war over Iraq as Mr. Bush did. Why bother? This is what my home country will look like. Berlin, unfortunately, underwater. This is not some crazy, spooky, hippie, dreadlocky guy that's wearing a suit. Remember? I'm serious. This is a picture produced by Professor Schellgruber. He sits in no less than Einstein's office in Potsdam. He's no less than the professor who wrote the United Nations panel's report on climate change. He's no less than the guy that wrote the Pope's encyclical on climate change. We will have sea levels rising 7 meters if Greenland ice melts. We'll have another 60 meters if Antarctica melts. We have a guaranteed 14 meter sea rise already because West Antarctic ice shelf has fallen off. What does that mean? It means that the people back here who emitted nothing, the 2 billion poorest people on Earth, will be killed first. The human rights issue of our time, says Desmond Tutu, is climate change. We're killing the poorest with nothing to do with climate change. And by the way, don't think we'll get away with it. Even in Marrakesh, we're a bit high up in the mountains, we won't get flooded, but guess what? If we do not take rapid action, the temperature here will be so high, it will not be inhabitable for human beings. The climate change threat to us is one which can be so fast that the whole species cannot adapt to the change. The last time water levels rose this much took 10,000 years, this time it will be much faster. Very depressing, I'm sorry. Good news. La 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 la. I do dance, but I won't dance with you today. Good news is, this has been true for a long time. I have a friend called Michael Eckert who worked for the Carter administration on a plan. This little spot of Earth we need to supply the whole world with electricity, transport, industrial power, heating, cooling, all we need. This little speck, you ask me? Are you kidding? Why haven't we done this? Well, I had a friend who was courageous, and here's a happy news coming out of Germany. In 2000, the Nobel Prize winner from Russia said, we can make solar power 100 times cheaper. I said to him, you're crazy. He said to me, I'm 85 to 25. Who's right? And he said, I can make light go straight. I did. I got the Nobel Prize for the laser. And we started a feed-in tariff in Germany. People got 870 kilowatt hours of solar power. All of these 16 years that passed, we needed government subsidies for solar, wind, and geothermal to exist. But the world we live in has changed dramatically. It is irrecognizable. Al Gore says it's like a dam that broke. Today, solar power costs less than fossil fuels. The world is no longer the same. We no longer need governments. The whole world will move towards the green industrial revolution because of this breakthrough, because of one crazy German and a crazy Russian scientist. Today, 3 cents, and the equivalent, and think about this, is $5 a barrel. So if anybody plans to lift oil anywhere in the world, causing cancer to the people who live around them, causing asthma, allergies, cancer in the countries where we drive cars and pollute ourselves, if that barrel of oil costs more than $5 to lift, they're stupid. They're burning economic value. When that number came out, British Petroleum sued the Abu Dhabi National Bank for that number. But it's right. This is the true number. It makes no more sense to invest in new oil, gas, and coal exploration. But because that came through, one of the movements I belong to is the Divest Invest movement. I graduated from Brown University, and Desmond Tutu gave us our diploma because we were involved in the anti-apartheid divestment movement. 40% of the stocks in the New York Stock Exchange were companies doing business with South Africa. We convinced our university to divest from these companies. Many years later, a friend started a divestment movement from fossil fuels. Only 7% of the index today are fossil fuel companies. Anyone can divest at a drop of a pen. Get rid of those companies that are killing the planet, killing us, and invest somewhere else. We had 50 billion commitments in the summer of 2014. Leonardo DiCaprio made the announcement. The Rockefeller family, the inventors of the oil business, joined us. And we said we'd be very aggressive. We set a big, hairy, audacious goal of 150 billion commitments by COP21. What happened was, this number was published, went to 3.4 trillion number, 68 times than we had hoped for, more. So now there's billions and trillions looking divesting from fossil fuels. These are all friends of ours, friends of peace in the world, because if everybody has their own solar panel, light at night to read, electricity to get internet access, clean water to wash their children, you don't have to go to war in Iraq anymore. You have your own power at home, and the world becomes much more democratic. We're about to see this miracle happen. But, say the sheikhs in Saudi Arabia, you may think, most oil is used for driving. 95% of oil is used for driving. How about transport? Well, here's my wife on her birthday. Some early adoption problems with closing the roof on a Tesla Roadster. This car now has been upgraded. It goes from here to there, 100 meters, from 0 to 100 in 2.5 seconds. That's faster than if you drive it out the window and it falls down. That's slower. Okay? So it's a lot of fun. People take the Tesla and they come out, it's called the Tesla smile. I don't work for Tesla. Anyway, it uses 1/3 the energy than a combustion engine car. It doesn't give you cancer. It doesn't give you allergies, asthma, nothing. 1/3 the energy. It makes no noise. You drive through the neighborhood, you hear the things, you hear the birds. We have not had a single thing repaired in this thing because nothing moves anymore. The windshield wipers and the brake pads, but I also haven't replaced those yet. No repair costs, cheaper to use. But you all think, well, that's probably a damn expensive car with a guy with a tie, right? Right. But one of our portfolio companies has just changed the world. What this portfolio company did is said, we use the electric battery of that car as a storage power plant. You know, we blacken batteries with the wind, because the wind doesn't blow, the sun doesn't shine. Where do we get the power from? We need batteries. This car was bought to have fun, but the side business is it's a storage power plant. So this company from Munich, Germany, has delivered and tested with Mercedes-Benz, Daimler today, that you can make 2,000 euros a year on your car by charging it at night, cheap prices, driving to the office, plugging it in, and selling your electricity high, 5% of the battery. So you make 2,000 euros on your car. And now you have a car called Nissan Leaf that costs 20,000 euros. Now when I put my money at the bank account, I'm reminded of Bertolt Brecht. Who knows Mac the Knife and Three Penny Opera? Bertolt Brecht, German author, my favorite actor. I like to act in his place. He says, to rob a bank is nothing. A bank robber is not really serious. A real professional will open a bank. So a bank will pay you 0, but your car, if the government's allowance to feed into the system, will earn you 2,000 euros a year. So we're in the middle of a new industrial revolution. What does that look like, industrial revolution? Well, here's the last one. Until about 1900, one of the greatest powers on earth was the British Empire, because they had discovered the steam engine. The Dow Jones Index in 1900 was full of steam engine railway companies. On Easter Day Parade on Wall Street, you only had horses. You had whip makers, carriage makers. The problem was in 1900 the stuff coming out the back. They had international conferences about horse output. Okay? 13 years later, same place, same time, where's the horse? It's gone. Look at the index. Not a single steam engine company survived. In 13 years, the whole industry was wiped out. The British Empire that had put sails on steam engines, ships, missed the oil industrial revolution, and America became the global power. This is where we are now, a global revolution. Some people will suffer, some will win. The winners are amazing. We will have resource efficiency. Take an average boring German, they produce anything with a quarter the energy that most Chinese or Arabs, I don't know what Arabs, Brazilians or Indians. Battery power, solar power, water purification, sustainable agriculture, huge opportunities. In this room, I'm sure, we have the next JP Morgans, the next Rockefellers, the next Carnegies. There's a huge opportunity ahead of us. On the other hand, of course, there are a million people working for German car makers. Nobody in their right mind will buy a car that stinks, makes noise, gives you cancer, and consumes 3 times more the energy, and it's more expensive. That's our business model. 1 million people will lose a job. That's sad for them. It's also sad for investors, and all of you are investors. If you have 1 penny at a bank, you're an investor. And your investment has some sort of impact. We'll come back to that. If you invest in so-called conservative German utilities, you will have lost 75% of your money already. So if you have money at your bank account, you better watch what the bank does with it. If you have an insurance plan, a health insurance, a car insurance, a life insurance, a pension, and they put money into oil and gas companies, guess what? You will probably lose 75% to 100% of your money if you don't take it out quickly. That's sad for you, but worse, it's sad for the whole planet. We have a thing called the carbon bubble. 2008 financial crisis was caused by 15 trillion of mortgage debt somewhere in America. We didn't have any of it in Germany, or any of it in Morocco, or any of it in India. And yet, the global financial system collapsed. The carbon bubble, the amount of assets that will have to be written off because oil, gas, and coal companies won't be able to compete anymore, is already 50% bigger. And every year, oil, gas, and coal companies are adding another trillion of stupid, economically senseless investments, thereby threatening the global economic system. Mark Carney, the central bank governor of England, has said it's got to be stopped. He's calling the G20 financial stability force to stop it. It's up to us to actually make it stop. You are the investors. If you have €1 at your bank will lend the money to a cluster bomb maker, to an oil company, to a gas company. If you don't ask your bank, we will not take control. So please take control. Ask your bank, ask your bondholder, ask your equity what they're doing with your money. This is what we do. We invest in German EU companies and help them to grow into emerging markets where energy efficiency is lower. This is great because we can imagine a new world that we're building here. This is the place where I wanted to sing Imagine by John Lennon, but I was told by the organizer I would have copyright issues. So you please imagine for a second where we could be if the world had free, abundant energy for everybody. We wouldn't have to go to wars over power. We all have access to education. We have self-driving cars that are electric. There's no sickness caused by these cars anymore. That's the future we can achieve. And the Mobility House, one of our portfolio companies, has managed to do this. Here's the Nissan Leaf, which they connect to a solar home, and they charge it to the grid. And with it, you can earn €2,000 a year from the €20,000 car. Unfortunately, that's nice, but it's chicken leftovers. Nothing serious. We have to move $35 trillion to stop climate change. And again, we will not survive as a species if we don't start the next 5 years. We don't have more time. The climate is getting worse by the second, exponentially. Scary, but investing $1 trillion a year saves us $1 trillion of energy costs and 14 trillion of damage a year. I'm proposing, and many others are, a 15x return on investment. It makes no sense not to do this. There are reasons we can do it quickly. We have to introduce carbon taxes. And here our audience, we have our wonderful organizers from Sweden. They introduced the €130 carbon tax per ton of CO2, and they're the sixth fastest growing economy in the world. It's possible to tax carbon and make money. We also need to put the whole economy away from the current model, which is taking stuff from the ground, consuming it, and throwing away 99% of what we consume 6 months later. That's a linear, non-sustainable economic model. We cannot coexist on the planet if we eat up all the resources by mid-year. We will kill ourselves. We've got to move to a circular economic model. The good news is one can take the wonderful ideas which Vanessa has said were created by art. Art creates creativity, creates new ideas. Take them from venture growth and buyout capital, bring them to all asset classes, and we can change the world. How is that possible? Because the people in Holland, for example, were surveyed, and they were asked, would you like your money to have a negative impact on the world? Would you like to sponsor cluster bombs or oil and gas? Or would you like to have a positive impact? Because of one journalist who did it. And it turned out they all said, no, we'd like to have a positive impact. And now the pension funds saying, okay, we'll invest in a positive impact fashion, and they're looking to move billions and trillions of dollars into positive impact. Turns out, you only need $20 billion, which is relatively little, to cut 3% of global emissions. If you have $600 billion, you can cut all of global emissions. That's just 0.2% of global financial assets. It's nothing. In terms of your income, if you live in Marrakesh, you need 75 euros a year to stop climate change. Even if in the UK, it's 750 euros a year to stop climate change. It's nothing. We can do it. So, I'd like you to think for a moment, do you think your money is where your values are? And I will share with you a story from where this picture comes from, my hometown, and when my grandfather used to walk by this lake. Now I go to school, and one day I asked my grandfather, there were some 7 to 9 million Jews killed, there were some 23 to 33 million Russians killed. By the way, the Wehrmacht is nothing, I mean ISIS is nothing compared to the Wehrmacht. The Wehrmacht used to go to Russia, take the whole village into the church and burn it. 33 million killed. So I asked my grandfather, why did you let that happen? He says, I did not know. And if I had known, I couldn't have done anything. Fair enough, I still love my grandfather. Go back to school, and we learn about the euthanasia program. The euthanasia program happened at the height of Hitler's power, prior to Auschwitz. They took elderly Germans, handicapped Germans, Germans with dyslexia, Germans with dementia, and even Germans that lost a leg in World War I. Put them in the back of a truck, remember they're poisonous, put the exhaust into the truck and gas them to death. Within 6 months, the Germans knew. Within 9 months, they stopped Adolf Hitler. So Granddad, you could have known. Granddad, I love you, but you could have stopped it. So with climate change, we know what to do. It is profitable to stop it. Our enemy is not Adolf Hitler. It's one fake Gucci bag a year. Please, let's stop this. On to happier notes, we're all investors. We can do this, we can take control. We used to live in a feudal society where one person decides all. We thought we were dependent on someone. We moved to a civil society. Once we understand that capitalism is controlled by us, it's your money, our money, that controls how capital flows, we can change this world. We are all impact investors. All of you have money at the bank. Each of you has an impact. What happens in this world? Ask your bank, ask your pension fund, ask your insurance, and with civil capitalism, we can change this world. Thank you very much.